Welcome to the RoCC Management Insights, the videocast interview series of University of St. Gallen's profile unit, Responsible Corporate Competitiveness. My name is Katharina Klöckner, and today I'm here with Winfried Ruigrok. He's professor and director at the Institute for International Management at the University of St. Gallen. Since 2004, he is director of the MBA program, and since this month, he is the new dean of the Executive School of Management, Technology and Law of the University of St. Gallen. He conducts research on the role of foreigners in top management teams and the link between internationalization and company performance. And today he will talk about the effects of diversity in top management teams on the company performance. Winfried, thank you very much for being here today.
My pleasure.
In your research, you look at the question of how effects of diversity can influence the performance of the company. Why is this topic, diversity in top management teams, pose a managerial challenge?
Well, Katrina, look at the environment. What we're seeing at the moment is a demographic shift in three respects. Firstly, we're seeing a shift in terms of age. In Western Europe, North America, the people are aging, and that is translated in the workforce. Workforce people are getting older. There's a stronger role of women. Today there are more university students that are female than male. That used to be very different in the past. These many capable women are also moving into managerial positions and top managerial positions. And thirdly, of course, we have globalization with a lot of younger people from China, India, other emerging markets entering the labor market. All this creates challenges because people coming from different parts of the world think differently, they act differently. They're not able to speak their first language with you or with me. In some cases, not even their second language. So all kinds of misunderstandings or challenges may emerge. It's known women arrive at conclusions and at their goals sometimes in different ways than men. I mean, how can we make that work together? Older people have experience. They're able sometimes to understand problems in teams, in the workplace, but then aren't always so aggressive, so may not always pursue challenges that actively. How can we make this diversity in different respects work together well? That was the start of our research. And the thing is, research isn't so clear about what really works well. There have been conflicting findings on the effects of diversity at various levels in the organization, including at the top management team of organizations. So we set out to understand where do we find those, how can we explain those differences, those different findings. And I think we've come a lot further in understanding where those differences come from, those different results come from, and ultimately to help companies to manage diversity better.
Okay. And how did you investigate these questions?
Yeah, so we went about in the following way. We collected data on top management teams. Now, top management team, that is in Germany the Vorstand, in Switzerland the Geschäftsleitung. So these are different legal entities in different countries. What we did, we always collected the biographies, the information of the backgrounds of each of those individuals. So we overall collected information for this particular project for almost 1,300, so 1,300 individual top management team members. We looked at their background in terms of education, in terms of functional background. We looked at their nationality, we looked at international experience, we looked at gender, a range of issues which we could collect information. And we compared, we created what we call team variables out of this, and on that basis identified what are the results of these constellations of top management teams on the performance of the company the same year, the year after, and so on. So in that way we were able to establish the effects of top management team composition on the performance of a company.
Okay. And how can your findings be applied in business today?
I think the most important finding we have is that there's a lot of good news, but there's also a bit of a warning. So the good news is diversity is good. We were we were able to establish that by looking at these various dimensions of diversity, I always say diversity itself is diverse. Sometimes a lot of diversity only focuses on one dimension, say gender diversity or nationality diversity. We looked at diversity in a range of different aspects, and we wish, if you wish, we created a cocktail of diversity, and we identified what are the effects of diversity. And the good news is that diversity, by and large, has very positive effects on the performance of an organization. But there is a snag, there is a potential downside, and that is the potential for groups that have moderate degrees of diversity to split, if you wish, in two subgroups. And if that happens, if a team, a top management team, but any team really, has the potential, the likelihood to break up in separate groups, then that will fundamentally undermine the productivity of such teams. And we see that at a level of top management teams. So the managerial implication then is managers should think about the composition of their teams. But secondly, once they see there's a potential, once they see, if you wish, some subgroup formation actually happening, with the subgroups sort of floating into different directions, actively manage diversity in trying to build bridges, in trying to find ways to keep these different team subgroups together. Because if you don't do that, then the productive potential of your team, of your diverse team, disappears, and what you end up is potentially a much, or if you wish, even a much less productive team at the end. And that's not what you want.
Okay. So this was a very valid final word. Thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your insight with us. This was University of St. Gallen's Professor Winfried Ruigrok and his insight on the role of diversity in top management teams. For more information, visit our homepage rocc.unisg.ch.